So I think that we all knew when Alicia was introduced to us that definitely has a big role to play on what has been playing out the past couple of episodes. The fact that right after everything that went down with Spez, with the Heart Stealers, with the Big Beast, with the transformation, with Hell getting a devastating blow by Siesta, after all of that blew over, Kimmy's just walking on the street one day. He gets shoulder checked, and suddenly in front of him is a little girl inside of a box just there saying, "Help me." And of course, he can't help but do that, right? And it was just all too convenient. Now, as they take Alicia in and they take her back, and she begins to kind of like go out on these mini detective adventures with Kimizuka, there's been a relationship building there. But the whole time, I think I have asked the last couple of episodes, is she friend or is she foe? And that's kind of been the looming question, is like, who is she really? What's the role that she's going to have to play in this show? Like, what's the role that she's going to have to play? Well, as last week's episode wrapped up, Siesta finally began to put things together. And when Kimizuka finally got that call from Fubi and he learned that she wasn't the one that had been visiting them, he was finally like, oh crap, who is the one that has been visiting us? Who is the one that transformed? So he began to know that there was something afoot and something a play. And I think that he started to have his own doubts about who Alicia is. But he has decided, because of his brand new affection for her, and not to like I'm in love with her, but just as an affection, as like a friend or a daughter or a sister. He began to have that affection level towards Alicia, and because of that, he began to turn a blind eye towards a lot of things that was very clearly obvious to Siesta. And Siesta, during this whole entire episode, she has kind of said like, oh, is this what you want to do? Kind of under her breath or to herself, she's kind of said like, oh, is this what you want to do, Kimmy? Is this the path you want to take, Kimmy? Is this what you really want to do, right? And from the different moments of when they find her in the alley to when he's down on one knee and Siesta is kind of like sulking to herself, like there's so many different points to where like Siesta sees what's going on and sees the relationship between Kimizuka and between Alicia kind of begin to grow and further along. And she's like, she knows that this is going to introduce certain problems when the truth comes out. So as this episode, kind of unfolded and began to, to play out, they come across another heart stealer, right? So they come across another victim who's had their heart stolen. And in that moment, Siesta has kind of taken the rough approach, or like the rough stance, to really like ask the questions that she needed to. And even though she kind of knew the answer. And in that moment to where they're asking the family, or they're asking the mom of the victim, what's going on, Alicia shows, remorse and care. And she says some special words to the mother of the victim, to make her feel better, but with the ignorance that, like, she's not the one who caused that. And one thing that I want to say before I continue on, with my overall view, is in that moment, the anime was really trying to capture our emotion during that moment, and it didn't hit for me at all. I don't know if it hit for you guys. Comment down below if that emotional moment in this anime hit. I felt like it wasn't, I don't know. I get really emotional in certain anime, right? Like there's like a week ago episode of like My Hero Academia. I mean, like I felt like that emotional moment that they had there hit right. But I get really emotional with anime, like, that I connect to, right? And I had I felt nothing. Like, I felt absolutely nothing when watching that specific scene. You guys can see my reaction to it. I'll put the reactions in our pinned comment. Make sure you guys go watch that. I had zero reaction during that emotional scene. And, like, it didn't do anything for me at all. I felt like it was just poorly, I don't know, it was just poorly done. It just didn't do anything for me whatsoever, like, at all. But I just wanted to throw that out there because like that emotional moment really tried to like pull you in and like pull your heartstrings, and it didn't do anything for me. But regardless, Alicia has that specific moment with the victim, even though she was the one who caused that victim's death. And Siesta begins to really dive in there, and Kimmy and Siesta kind of have a back and forth banter of what she thinks was right and stuff like that. And that was kind of like the moment where like their views on what's going on began to be different. And Siesta's anger with Kimmy didn't necessarily stem from him stopping her questioning. It came from Kimmy should be picking up on the same things that Siesta is, and she knows that he is, but he is deciding to consciously ignore it, and she was getting extremely frustrated with that. The rest of the episode was, Kimmy and Alicia sharing a moment. He gives her the ring, which has a tracking device, so you can follow her and see where she's at, but it's also a gift. It's also a gift for her, and she says that she's never gotten a gift before, and she just felt that way. And she's always lived like this dark life. So, Kimmy has become, very important to Alicia, even for who she truly is. And I thought that was a really cool and pivotal moment for their relationship. As they continue to move on, Kimmy ends up finding her in an alley, hunched over a police officer who shot her, obviously in self-defense. The knife from their apartment or their hotel room is there. And again, Kimmy decided to consciously ignore that and go take care of Alicia and rush her to the hospital and get her taken care of. And Siesta was just like, this is how you want to do it. This is how you want to play out. And he goes to take care of her at the hospital. They hold hands. He shares in a moment, and like his affection for her is growing. And he's doing it under an ignorance bliss because he's been doing this for a while. He has a very keen eye for these things, as Siesta knows. That's why she's becoming frustrated as well. Alicia ends up dipping out. She ends up dipsetting. He has to go find her in some church where he has Siesta. And Siesta, she ruins his day. She breaks it down for him of like, what have you been doing? Like, why don't you see the signs? And Kimmy begins to kind of not let loose, but unwind. He begins to get really defensive about it because he doesn't want to believe it. Like, he thinks that she's this, innocent little girl, and that's just not the case. And she breaks it down to where the fact is like, she's hell. Like, she's the girl from 𝐒𝐻. She may have lost her memories or whatever, but she has that shape-shifting ability. And Siesta, earlier in the episode, had tried to break it down on how the shape-shifting is possible by being part android and having the beast gem that they had gotten from that beast that they had taken down and stuff. And Kimmy again was playing the ignorant fool, and he just doesn't want to believe that this is hell. Like this, the one he's been helping is their enemy. And she did lose her memories, and they confront her. And she realizes that she has two personalities within her, and she isn't who she is. And that's why she was convinced the whole time that she's a 17-year-old girl, because she is. And she was convinced the whole time, and she knew that something was wrong, but she couldn't quite remember, so she did legit lose her memories. And in that moment, Siesta tries to take her down, and Kimmy and Siesta have a moment to where, Kimmy's pointing a gun at Siesta, and she's like, come on, like, what the hell are you thinking? And of course, before anything can happen, the chameleon guy breaks in to take Alicia away. And, Siesta and Kimmy end up sharing a moment, and Siesta comes around. And she says, okay, we're going to go and save hell. I was really worried in that moment, too, of like, is this the moment that Siesta dies? Is it Kimmy's fault? Like, I wonder if it is Kimmy's fault. Like, is it Kimmy's fault that she dies? And that's kind of where we left off of, we're going to go save our friend, who's our enemy, which is all just batshit crazy. Which just leads me to another question of, like, what does that mean for the future? Is hell still around in the future? What's her relationship with Kimmy? How does she view him? What's that going to mean when she comes back into the picture later on in the future? I have all these different questions. Overall, this episode was pretty good. There were some moments of the episode like, puh, 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 like that emotional moment. I was like, it's terrible. But regardless, I think the episode was pretty good. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below, guys. Let me know what you guys thought. Did you see the twist coming? I saw it coming. Did you see it coming? Did you think that she would be hell, or did you just think that she'd be an enemy? Let me know what you guys really thought in the comments down below, and make sure to watch our full reaction for this episode. It's right here. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace out, friends.